Well, hello there, Perfect Drafters. How you doing? I hope you're well. I do. I hope you're well. So, it's not a Perfect Draft Keg review. It isn't. But it is related to the Perfect Draft. So what is it? Well, about a year in to owning the machine, I had quite a few empty kegs. I wasn't returning them probably how I should. And I thought, I know what would look quite good if I lined them up on a wall and ranked what I'd had. You know, there was a few more that I had to talk about because I had done a return. But obviously now I've had a lot more kegs and I think I'm probably in a position to talk about that kind of thing again because I've had more kegs. And quite a few people have looked at that video, they've watched it for whatever reason, and said, look, Baldy, you should do another review like that because you've had more kegs. Now, I can't line up every empty keg that I've had because obviously I've done a lot of returns now. So, honestly, Beer Hawk, I've only got 3 empty kegs. That's all I've got. So, yeah, needs a return, but that is all. Let me have a little sub. So yeah, I thought, what is the best way then of showing you the kegs in order of how I rank them? So I had a little thought in the big bold head, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll create something that's a nice visual aid. Now, this is what I've come up with. Yeah? TopPumps. TopPumps. And because I'm a giving soul, I really am, kind of, I thought, what I'll do is I'll make these half decent, hopefully they're alright, and I'll pop them on my website, yeah? I'll put them on my website, and you can download them. You can download them, have a bit of fun. So, as chance would have it, as I was, preparing these, and it's taken me a little bit of time, longer than I thought it would, as I was preparing these, there's 52 cards, full deck, 52 kegs. There's some that have been discontinued recently or are not available at the moment. I mean, Pineapple Express. That's a prime example of we just don't know if it'll come back on or not. These are only ones that have been available in my lifetime of owning the Perfect Draft machine. This is what they look like. Here is the Pineapple Express. Yeah, here's the Pineapple Express top pump card. So what you've got some categories on here. You've got basically big bold reviews rating. I've had to make that up for some of those that I've not yet reviewed, yeah? ABV. Now, that's up to you. Do you want to make that a good thing if it's a higher ABV and that's the winning pump card? Or do you want a session on it, so therefore the lower ABV in that round of games is going to take the win? That's up to you. Established. Now, that's a funny one because as hard as I've tried, and I have tried very hard, as hard as I've tried, I couldn't find when every single brew was established. I'm sorry, I apologise. Some of those established dates, they are when the brewery started, yeah? When they started brewing right at the beginning of their life. So there's some really, really early ones there. But, there's some later ones that probably are a year or two out. That's life. Some of the Tiny Rebel ones I couldn't find when they did start. But they're in there and they're obviously a lot more recent. Then you've got popularity. Now, I've kind of based that on the posts, on the talk, on the chat, on the Perfect Draft Keg Tips group and the Perfect Draft group on Facebook. What gets talked about the most? So I've had a little bit of a beady eye about. Again, it's a bit of fun. It's not absolutely spot on, but it's just my kind of gut feeling of what the popularity of that keg is. Then you got the design. Again, very much down to this guy's opinion. But basically, you look at something like Crew Republic, yeah, that keg, that's designed like a beauty. Whereas you look at something like, I don't know, Hasroder or Die Bells or something like that, could do with a bit more design. Then you've got sessionability. So how many can you have? It's not the number of how many you can have in a session, so don't play the game, in a bad way and, drink responsibly and all stuff like that. But basically, is it a kind of ale? Is it a beer that you can have a few more of? Or basically, is it a La Trappe? Or is it a Quack? Or is it, like my recent review, the Triple Camulet, that you struggle after a few? So that's the categories. Then what you'll also see is a nice little picture of the keg plus a QR code. Now that QR code you can scan and you'll see that keg on Beerhawk as well. So there you go, they've got a use. They've got a little bit of use. Okay, so for a start, let's have a look at this. So this is the thickness of the kegs that I've tried. And this is the thickness, the depth of kegs that I haven't. Yeah, so basically I cannot really add these in to this video. Eventually I'll do another video where I've done the whole deck, but that's just not the case at the moment. So them ones, I can't put them in. They're to the side, they're discarded. For now, they're not in the game. They're not in the game, people. Right, I'm going to put these quickly in order of what I think is the worst to the best, and I'll run through them. Okay then, people, I'm going to talk pretty fast. I'm going to have a sup. Only a little bit of an opinion on each one. And we'll get to that top keg. Right, here we go. Right at the bottom of the pile, Jeanette Bio White. Didn't enjoy it at all. Terrible drink. Didn't like it. But that's because I don't like that type of beer. That kind of white beer, not over keen. Die Bells. No, not for me. Was a dark beer, very dark. Very bitter tasting. Didn't like it. Yeah, one of the bottom ones. Hoegaarden Rose, or Rosé, whichever you want to call it. Now, that is a summer drink. It really is. It's actually quite an easy drink and surprised me a little bit. It was the first one that I've had in this bar. But as much as I look back on that with the rosé tinted glasses, it's just not a top keg. Just tastes like a pot of jam. Tastes like a pot of jam. Shelby. You let me down. It did. It let me down. It wasn't a great IPA. It's more of a lager. That's what it is. It tastes more of a lager, to be honest. I had it in a bottle just beforehand. I tried it, obviously, in the keg. I didn't mind it. You know, it was a session-y kind of IPA drink. It just wasn't IPA enough for me. And, you know, I do like my IPAs. L'Allegra. Left L'Allegra. And it's the first one for left coming in there. So I am quite a left fan. I like that left twang. And there are some left kegs much higher up in this pack. Now, while that's the case, I just don't think that left twang suits the lager so much. But now we're getting to them kind of kegs that actually, and this shows you the depth and the quality of the kegs on the Perfect Draft, because from now, I'm kind of getting into kegs that I would buy again. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that position of the left L'Allegra just there. So, La Virgin Madrid Lager. Now that, I thought, was a half decent lager. And it's one of the cheaper kegs on the Perfect Draft. So definitely one I'll try again. You know, if I wasn't reviewing them and caning through different types of kegs, it's probably one I'd have had again already. Nothing to write home about in terms of a lager. It's not going to blow you away, but it's not going to offend anyone either. Now this one, the Left Royale Cascade IPA. Again, not really that IPA-like, but it is a bit more punchy at 7.5%. So, I didn't mind it. I found it quite difficult to get through the keg, to be honest, but it was a pleasant enough drink. Had that left twang, just wasn't that much of an IPA for me. Now then, the most recent review on the Perfect Draft, and people will probably shoot me for this, but the champagne of beer, I'm going to put quite low down. The reason being is because I bought that Perfect Draft to kind of enjoy a few pints. And to be honest with you, you enjoy a few pints of this and you're a goner. You are. You've got an aching head in the morning. It's as simple as that. It's a beautiful tipple. You know, I'm saying it's low. It's not bad position. Same goes for the next belter in there, which is a quack. It's too easy to drink, this one. A little bit unlike the triple carmulet. You don't realise it creeps up on you. It's very easy to drink 3, but then you know in the morning you're going to pay for it again. So, as Razorlight would say, in the morning. They said something else. But anyway, there we go. Next up, we've got Golden Goose. Now, this was released since I've had the Perfect Draft, so one of the newer kegs. Again, nothing to write home about. I mean, 5%er, Sessionability, I've got a 7 because you could have a few of those. It's just a bit of an average lager. Now, I was really excited for the Golden Goose lager when it was coming out, just simply because it was a Goose Island brewery. And they are top. The top quality, absolute top notch. But I'd say out of all the Gooses, as you can tell, because the other couple haven't come up yet, this is probably the worst of the Gooses. It's a good lager, don't get me wrong. But as far as it goes, it's the worst. It's the worst of the Goose. So, then, the big T. So we're getting into the beers now that obviously, are getting a bit more popular. I've given a popularity of 85. Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe when it was established as well. It may well be a little bit out, but it's a very, very well-established beer. And sessionability, I've given an 8 because it is 4%. Now, I enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed the keg of that. It was a very easy drinker. If you've had that in a tin and you haven't had it on keg, give it a blast. Give it a go because it is different. It's not bad at all. Then, Dykirch Grand Cru. Now, this surprised me. We are getting to those kegs now that I really did enjoy. This, I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. One of those darker kind of amber pouring beers. So nice. Honey and caramel in there, absolutely beautiful. And at 5.1%, it's got enough punch, but also is enough of a sessionability drink. It's a belter. It's one that isn't tried too much, isn't talked about too much, but one that's well worth a go. Left Brun, pretty similar really, in terms of the kind of colour, and that's probably why I'm putting them here. At the end of the day, it's Boulder's opinion. Now, but at 6.5%, it is a bit more punchy. Sessionability therefore drops to 4, but yeah, still an absolute quality drink. You taste it and you go, that's a nice beer. It is a belter. It's getting high up the old grades now. Beck's Gold. Beck's Gold, I enjoyed that. I really did enjoy it. It's so much better than what I expected because I'm not a massive Beck's fan. Beck's out of a bottle, and I've not tried the Beck's keg yet, so that's not in amongst them. Just the standard Beck's. But the Beck's out of a bottle, just the standard original, it just reminds me of bread when I'm drinking it. I can't get the picture of a loaf of bread out of my head. And therefore, I don't enjoy it. But this Beck's Gold, it went down a treat. Very easy drinker, 4.9%. Sessionability was good. Le Trap, another beer that came out whilst I've had this. An absolute belter of a beer. If you like the Left Blonde, which you may notice hasn't gone yet, then you will like this. It's not got that left twang, but it has got that blonde style beer. It is a bit punchier at 6.5%, but look, this was quality. Get yourself the proper Le Trap glass, have a nice little sip. It's a nice drink. Now this one will be a lot higher up in a lot of people's. In fact, this could be number 1 if a lot of people were grading these from start to finish. I know a lot of people think this is the king of kegs. For me, I'm just not a massive Great Vice beer fan. So that's why I'm putting you fella. I'm sorry, I do feel a bit sorry for him. But Frankie, I'm going to put a little bit further down compared to some of the top kegs. But look, a fair few have gone. We're talking quality now. And that is a nice beer. For me, the banana kind of taste that's within it, you wouldn't want more than a couple of pints. I enjoyed it. It was just, for me, one of those kegs that you'd want to swap out with something else. That's why Frankie's down there. Now then, one of the seasonal ones. I think one of the first seasonal ones to come in. Left Noel. Lovely pint. Lovely drink. Top keg. One of the more expensive ones. 6.6%, but hey, it's over the festive period. You're allowed to get a little bit merry. You are. Have it, because the spices, the kind of darker beer, it's a festive belter. Santa would go mad on it. That is a nice keg, and that's why we're now getting into the creme de la creme. This one, I'm so disappointed that it's finished. I really am. If you like Brewdog Elvis juice, then I feel this, because it's probably out of a keg, is even better than that. I compared them in the video review of this, but the high wire grapefruit, I really enjoyed it. For a start, I was like, that's a bit much, isn't it, that flavour? That's a bit much, but no. After a few of them, I was like, that's a top keg and one that I'll get again. And I'm sad that I won't be able to, because I felt that was a good keg. Lisa, you surprised me as well. Quite high up, people might be surprised by it. Again, not really talked about much, but a nice session-like beer at 5%. It's just an easy drinker. Wouldn't offend anyone. I suppose you could say, well, why have you got that right up there and you've got the virgin lager so much further down? Because there's not that much between them. But I just found this that little bit better to drink and a little bit less of a bad aftertaste. So that, I thought, was pretty good. Now then, this I know is very popular. Spaten. An absolute belter of a keg. You could mistake it a little bit for Stella, but it is that bit more at 5.2%. It's very popular. In terms of a lager, this is very popular. Now, it's a good keg. Nothing wrong with it at all. Light and easy to drink. Lovely little bit of caramel sweetness, as they say. That is a very good quality beer. Very good quality lager on the Perfect Draft. Now we've got that kind of comparison to the La Trappe that I just made earlier. Left Blonde. An absolute classic. It's got that left twang in there. It's a blonde beer. It's got a little bit of thickness to it. It's easy to drink, even though it's 6.6%. Little bit misleading, really. It would mislead you, that. So therefore, I've still given it a 5 for sessionability. I think it's right in the middle there. But Left Blonde is a good keg. Try that out. I know people that virtually have bought the Perfect Draft machine for that keg. Absolutely. This one kills me a little bit. But the Pineapple Express IPA, for a start, it was again, this polarised opinion. It did. It came out and it was, people were like, what on earth is that? There were others who were like, this is an absolute belter. There's people that are still finding these now in certain shops and are stocking up on them. And they're doing that because it has been, taken off for now. I don't know if it's coming back. I hope it does, because it's a very different keg on the Perfect Draft. It isn't weak, 6.2%, but Tiny Rebel Brewery are a belter. You see how high up some of these Tiny Rebel ones are, and there's a reason for that. Cracking brewery, and I enjoyed that Pineapple Express. I really did. Now then, Ruby! Left Ruby. Lovely summer drink. It's like what the Hoegaarden Rosé could have been if it was a bit more punchy and a bit more classy and just more left-like. It's a good beer. Top stuff for the summer. One to put on that will, if you've got a couple of Perfect Draft machines, some people have, fire an IPA on and that, or, an easy drinking lager on and that, and you've got a lovely variety. That is a nice keg. Fruity as you like, and I do like it. Now this one, the keg that started off, IPA, J-Pour, there's a lot of reviews on this one. It was one of my very, very first keg reviews, and it's a good IPA. It really is. But there's better. There is better. There's some that haven't come out yet, and I am an IPA fan, so it's not right at the top. But we now are almost at the top 10. So what didn't quite make the top 10? This would for a lot of people. I enjoyed it, and to be quite honest, I didn't think I was going to, because I tried it out of a can. I even had it in a pub and I wasn't so keen. So buying the keg of it kind of gutted me a little bit, because I was thinking I'm not going to enjoy it. But a lot of people saying, look, Boulder, you've got to review this keg. You have. It's another Tiny Rebel one. It is the Club Tropica. An absolute belter of a keg. Very, very fruity. Well, that's a juice bomb. It absolutely is a juice bomb. Although I know they say the Pineapple Express is a juice bomb. This is a juice bomb as well. Now, that said, it's 5.5%, so you've got to be careful with it, because it is very easy to drink. It is very easy to drink. Nice one for the summer, yet again. But now, and I'm sorry that didn't make the top 10 for a lot of people, because they would have loved it, but this is my top 10. So in at number 10, here we go. It is very close to the Club Tropica. It really is. But I think this is just that little bit less juicy and that little bit more IPA. A lot of people would have switched these round. I enjoyed this one more. I did. So the Cali Pale, I'm going to put in at number 10. Number 9, One that isn't talked about a lot, really isn't, and I'm surprised. It's often available. It's one of the cheaper IPAs. It is the La Virgin 360. Now, I just loved it. I was well surprised by it. I just thought more people should be banging on about that, with it tasting like that, and they're not. So, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it is more often available. But there we go. Lovely IPA taste, juicy. It's got enough citrusness about it. Citrusness, that it just has. It's good. Now this one, the absolute king of session beers, it is the Midway Session Goose. An absolute belter, and one of the very few kegs that I've had more than one of on the Perfect Draft. I've actually had, I think, 3 of these. Admittedly, one was because when the Golden Goose Lager came out, they put it in a 3-pack with a Goose Island. I mean, what a pack. What a pack. And that is packing a belter of a flavour. For me, that is your easy drinking IPA. If you're having a session, or if you are, just going to have a few pints of a weeknight and you don't want a bad head in the morning, that is a very, very good beer to fire into. Then this one, Jupiler. Now, I did this one just before, or it might have been just after the Hertog, and they're very close. And for that reason, in this deck, they are very close as well. In terms of aftertaste, I just preferred the Hertog.
And I'm glad you're back. It's been a bit boring without you.
Hey, that done me, didn't it? Right. Basically, I've got the lights to come on automatically at 7 and a bit of music to play. You didn't need that. Right. So, in at number 6 is the Hertog. Did I enjoy that Hertog? An absolute belter. Again, from having the Perfect Draft to getting that keg, heard very little about it. Heard a lot about the Spaten, but as you can see, I've put it above the Spaten. Heard loads about the Stella. The Stella's not in this deck. It is in the deck, it's in the full deck, but it's not in ones I've tried because I've not reviewed it. I have tried the Stella before I even started reviewing the kegs, but I just didn't think that I should put it in, being as I haven't done a review on it. Now that Hertog for me is better than the Stella. It really is. It's just a belter of a lager. So no bad aftertaste, really good aftertaste, very easy to drink, lovely lager. It's almost one of the top lagers. And the only reason it's not the top lager is because these next two are special editions. They are the Spaten Oktoberfest and the Lowenbrau Oktoberfest. Absolute beauties. They've got that extra bit of punch. Those two kegs are good. Again, Lowenbrau, one that I had even before the reviews, and Spaten pretty high up in the deck. But the Oktoberfest beers just take them to another level. They're quality. They sell out like hotcakes. They really do. There's just no words for them because you've got to be quick to get them. You've got to be quick. Lovely, easy drinking beers, even though they've got that extra punch. And it just sends them to another level. Top three. And this one was launched while I've had the Perfect Draft again. People were so anticipating this because we didn't have a stout on the Perfect Draft. There it is. It's the Dark Arts from Magic Rock Brewery. The same as like High Wire Brewery. Got a midget. Same as the same brewery as the High Wire. Absolute belter. Beautiful drink. The kind of licorice taste to it. The dark fullness. It's a belter. I know I've got the Guinness tap here. It doesn't taste like Guinness. It really doesn't. I enjoy a Guinness. I enjoy this Dark Arts. Now, in the morning, not necessarily a bad head. It is 6%, but just be careful with the flatulence. So that is the Dark Arts. Now then, top two. And this was hard. This was very hard to separate the two. I did a review of this one and I said, is this the greatest IPA on the Perfect Draft? At the time it was. I don't think it is now. So Goose Island Ipa is in at my number 2. 5.9%. Even though it's that, it is very easy to drink. It's a lovely, smooth, perfect tasting. Almost perfect tasting. I thought it was perfect tasting IPA. Obviously one of the more recent English style IPAs to be made. But look, What a keg. And again, one of the very few kegs that I've had a couple of on the Perfect Draft. There she is at number 2, the Goose. So that leaves at number 1, Ship Ahoy, the Crew Republic, Drunken Sailor. My word, this blew me away. And it is now more often in stock as well, which is amazing. Absolutely cracking. I did get a couple of these kegs so that I got the glasses on launch, and that I am thankful for, because if I hadn't have done, I would have just bought the standard one for reviewing purposes, and I would still not have had the pleasure of having that second one and reassuring myself that that is the absolute belter of a keg on the Perfect Draft. 6.4%, like I say, but still I've given it quite a high session ability just because it's so tasty. For me, this is my top pump card. There it is. Crew Republic, Drunken Sailor, Numero 1. There it is. So, yeah, that's my ranking of the Perfect Draft Kegs so far, people. If you want to download that deck, I will make them available on the Big Bold Reviews website. I'll put a link, it'll be a PDF. I'll even give you a little bit of a tip on how to print it out so that you can see the keg on the front and the TopPumps thing on the back. Feel like I've talked a lot there and I've not let you have a word. So please have a word in the comments below, because there's going to be many a person saying, how the hell can you put Triple Carmine that low? How can you put Quack that low? Yeah, it's just not done, Boldy. What are you doing? But hopefully I've given a little bit of reasoning behind those choices. Situationally, the whole deck can be shuffled. If you're having a nice little one sup of the night, that Triple Camulet would have been a number 2 and number 3. That's the way it goes, people. That's the way it goes. That I've put as my general, default, general order of kegs. But have you say, please do, have you say. If you like that video, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, people. There will be a keg review next time. But for now, Perfect Drafters, have a belter of a weekend. Enjoy. Let the sun shine, because I think it's going to. Let the ale flow. Cheers, Perfect Drafters. Cheers.